All right, guys, for today, we're going to start work in Photopea, which is an online Photoshop option. First thing you'll need to do, go to our Canvas class. And then on today, it says that we have two supporting files that we're going to need, a Danny DeVito and a Hulk. Now, on the iPad, to get the Danny DeVito file, you're going to put your mouse on him and long click to bring up this box, and then you'll choose Save to Photos. I'm going to do the same thing for Hulk. Long click, Save to Photos. When I go into my camera roll, now they're both in here. All right, so next, I'm going to go to a new website called Photopea.com. So I open a new tab, Photopea.com. When you get in here, first thing you're going to do, close this big pop-up. You don't need it. Now, since Photopea is an online program, it does not save your work. So whatever you finish will download both as a Photoshop file and as a PNG, so it's usable later. But the Photoshop file will be so that we can continue to edit it. Since this is the first time using it, we're going to come over here. We're going to say New Project. I'm going to name mine. I'm going to call it Marvel, because we're going to add a lot of Marvel characters to this. And then I don't really think in terms of pixels, so I'm going to change mine to inches. It defaults to 17 wide, 10 tall, which is fine for me. And I'm going to change my background from white to transparent. And then hit Create. So this is like my working screen. It works just like Photoshop does, kind of works a little bit like IBIS Paint if you've used that. Where down here on the left side, you've got your menus for all of your tools. Up here along the top, you have all your file things that you need. And over here is going to be our menu that we're going to use for things like layers. And layers are going to be pretty important in this particular lesson. All your layers show up down here. Now, I need to get my Hulk into my file right now. So I'm going to come up here to File, and I'm going to say Open and Place. Choose my photo library. And I'm going to pick my Hulk. Hit Add, and Hulk shows up on my screen. My Hulk has a white background, and I really don't want him to. So I'm going to make sure that my Hulk layer is chosen. You can kind of see that that layer is lighter gray than the background. So I'm on my Hulk layer. I'm going to choose my Magic Wand. Magic Wand is a tool that will select any color and everything of that color that's attached to it. So if I click in this white with my Magic Wand, you can kind of see these little marching ants all the way around this top half of Hulk. Those are all selected. It couldn't select any of the white down here because you've got green on the edge here and on the edge here. So these whites aren't actually attached. Once I select that on my keyboard, I'm going to hit my delete button. And I get an error that said Smart Object must be rasterized first. To rasterize a file means to turn it into something that's editable. Two ways to rasterize. You can come down here on your layer and right-click. Right-click is a little glitchy on the iPads, and you can choose rasterize from this menu. Or if you cannot get your right-click to work, you can come up here to Layer and choose rasterize from here. Then hit your delete button, and you'll see that all the white disappeared. I need to do that to each section of white that's on my screen. So now I just have a Hulk with nothing. You can kind of see I dragged my finger. I took a selection with me. If that happens to you, on your keyboard, hit Command D. That's deselect. It makes it so that nothing on your screen is chosen. So I'm looking at my Hulk. I noticed I missed one little spot of white. I'm going to Magic Wand that out as well. All right, so now I have a workable Hulk. We're going to take Danny DeVito's head and put it onto Hulk's body, which means Hulk needs to lose his head. I'm still on my Hulk layer, and I'm going to use a new tool over here. I hold my finger down on those marching ants, and I get a new menu that pops up where I have Rectangle Select, Ellipse Select, which only select those shapes. We don't want that. Then I've got Lasso, Polygonal Lasso, and Magnetic Lasso. The difference between lasso select and magnetic lasso select is if you choose magnetic, it's going to try to stick to everything that's that color, even if you're not that accurate with your finger. Since Hulk's face is the same as his body, I'm just going to go with normal lasso select. And I'm actually going to use my pen or my crayon for this. It's a lot more accurate than my finger. You can do it with your finger though. Okay, I'm still on my Hulk layer. I've got my lasso selected, and I'm just going to try to outline his face and his hair. To finish my connection, I have to go to where I started. When I connect those two dots, I get the marching ants again. Only thing on Hulk right now selected is his head, and I don't want it anymore, so I'm going to hit delete. And his head should disappear. All right, so now I kind of need to move his body out of the way. I'm going to go up here to my arrow. I'm going to move him over to the side. Hit Command D again to make sure I don't have anything weird selected. And I'm going to go up and get Danny. So File, Open and Place, Photo Library, find Danny DeVito. Now he comes in. He's on a new layer that's separate from Hulk. And now I can use that lasso tool again to select Danny DeVito's head. So I'm going to come up, choose my lasso tool. I got Danny here. He's actually a little off screen. I need the rest of his head, so I'm going to move him down, go back to my lasso. Now you can kind of see I had accidentally hit something with my pen, so I'm going to try that again. I'm going to get a little bit of his hair in there. Probably going to cut him off at 2 chins instead of his 4. Connect my dots. There's Danny's head. 2 choices here. We need to keep the head and not the body. So you can either do Command C, Command V on your keyboard, which you can see over here has now given me another layer that's just his head, or what I usually prefer to do is I will go up to my top menu and I will choose Select Inverse. So when I used the lasso, I had selected his head. Now I want everything but his head. And you can kind of see that the marching ants went around the side, and I can hit my delete button. Oh, I didn't rasterize. Layer rasterize. Hit my delete again. And now I've got a giant Danny head and a Hulk without a head. Next step, still on my Danny head layer. I'm going to use my selection tool up here. And I have to turn on this button that says Transform Controls. Right now, you can kind of see I can't really do anything with Danny but move him. Oh, I missed some stuff. I'll have to take care of that. That's what happens when you zoom in too far. If you did what I did and you have this extra Danny stuff out here, I'm just going to turn on my eraser, make it a little bigger, and I'm just going to erase all that other stuff. I'm guessing you probably didn't have that issue because your screen wasn't as big as mine, which is fine. Just erase mine real quick. All right, so now I got my Danny head again. I need to turn on Transform Controls. That gives me my resizing handles like you guys are used to on your pictures. I'm going to make Danny's head smaller. I'm going to go to my Hulk layer and move him back in the middle a little bit because I want to get Danny's head on top of the Hulk in about the right size. That looks like a pretty good size. And if you remember from your original Hulk picture, Danny was kind of, the Hulk was a little bit tilted with his head. So to tilt this, you're actually going to put your mouse above this center dot up here, and you just kind of move it from side to side like an arc. So I do that with my crayon. And you kind of see him moving his head around. So I'm going to tilt his head a little bit like he was in the original. Nest his head down a little bit onto his body. Make sure I'm deselected on everything. Beautiful. So now I got a Danny head on a Hulk body. Still 2 separate layers, Hulk body, Danny head. Now, I'm going to select my Danny head layer again, and I need to make it green, kind of like Hulk's body. To do that, we're going to go up to Image, Adjustments, and we're going to try Color Balance first. In the color balance, you can see that you've got shadows, red, green, and blue. And I can kind of move this menu off to the side so I can watch what I'm doing. And as you play with these, you can see him changing color. So I got like a little electric green there. I'm probably making a little more electric. I got blue, which doesn't really work for me on this one. I get his little bit of green shade going on. I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to go up to Layer again, and this time, Image, and this time I'm going to choose the Adjustments, and I'm going to choose Hue and Saturation. In this, it starts with the master range, which you can play with if you want. I'm going to change it to my green, and I'm going to turn his green up on Hue, Saturation, Lightness, and I'm going to keep going until he is kind of that sickly green looking color. I'm going to go back to my master, change that a little bit, until I think I like the color of Danny's head. When you're good with the way he looks, I want you to come up to your file and say File, Save as PSD. That's a Photoshop file, so we can come back and edit it again. It's going to ask, do I want to download my marvel.psd? You're going to want to do that because we're going to come back to this in a couple days when we're done with bridges. And then I'm also going to go File, Export as PNG. This will turn it into an actual picture called Marvel. In case I lose my Photoshop file for some reason, I've got a finished Hulk and Danny that I can use. If you have any questions, feel free to pause and rewind or come ask one of us, and we will help you as soon as we can.